So we're gonna give everybody time to come up in
Come
here.
on in here.
Have to give a second.
Come on in here. Come on in the room.
I've been excited all day. I like your earrings.
Thank you. I got, I'm crafty. I could have made these myself, but this young girl was selling, how I like to support young people. And I was like, oh, these is cute. I like pink too. So, and whenever I go out vending or anywhere in somebody's community, I always wear like a big earrings or something to stand out instead of the sea of black.
Yep.
So I always find me something big to put on my ears or something like that because I don't want to get lost in the sea of black. So
That's hilarious. When I started real estate, I made sure I went out the house with some type of jewelry or something on that was like really big to get
yeah,
someone to ask me about it. And
yeah,
so we started up a conversation.
yeah, because that's how they remember you. Like you think about that thing, right? Everybody is competing for the same dollar. You got to give them something to remember you by, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's that girl with the pink earrings," or you're like, "I'm a Steelers fan." Oh, that's that girl with the Steeler pocketbook. Like
That's
I
right.
always do something that's gonna catch somebody attention.
That's right.
So, come on in the room. I can't see because I didn't jump on Facebook or nothing like that because I don't know if we streaming on Facebook because I can't see how many people here on
Oh,
Facebook yet or YouTube or any of the other platforms that we are. But we want to welcome you. We want to welcome you to Radical Resilience.
you know
This
what?
is our journey. Can you hear? I can't hear you, Angie.
You can't?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, Facebook told me to go live. So let me get a second here. I'm supposed
It's
to.
not live. I can't. I need to.
Okay.
All right. If you go live, I don't need to.
Well, on Facebook,
Yeah.
it gave me a reminder. I don't know, but we're gonna be going live on
Be
different
live.
pages.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Facebook. I have this live on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I see you have it linked to YouTube too.
So what I'm trying to do here though is it don't even show me a go live thing. I don't
Mm,
have a button. Well,
yeah, I should be live though. Mine should be on here. Let me just check. Yeah, I'm live on Facebook. I'm live already.
all right, mine isn't live. I don't know what to do
Mhm.
to make it live either.
So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. How was your day today?
It was actually really full. Like talking to so many people about so many different things. Okay, I can go live on my phone.
Okay, that's what I did. There you go.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, I just heard you pop on.
there we go. Let me see if I can set that up somewhere. Ain't live, but I turned the camera off. Look, I told a girlfriend of mine that I was so excited about this because I ain't had to do anything technical.
Listen, and I was calling my girlfriend and my video team, right? I was like, "Yo, Phil, this I'm getting the echo. I can't figure out how to get the echo." He was like, "Miss Deb,
How
how many times?
many times I got to tell you how to
How
do
many
this?
times I gotta tell you how to do this?" I'm like, "Boy, I don't know how to work this stuff."
Yes. So when it comes to this technical stuff, yeah, I'm a little bit challenged. Let's
A
see.
little bit challenged. I'm a whole lot challenged. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't even fronting on you.
I'm getting better at it. Okay, now I'm live on Facebook. Okay, I got it.
All right, cool.
Let me come back to
So I'm so excited about this conversation. Every time we talk, we have like so
so much to talk.
much to say, and we walk away. We're like, did that just happen?
Right. Michelle, can you hear us? Hey, honey. Thanks for coming in the room. Text us, let's
Hey,
make sure you hear us because we had a little trouble on this platform earlier.
yeah.
And it's a chat. Let me see. I sent a message to
Can
her.
you hear? Yeah. So, but yeah, every time we talk, we let me turn mine off because now I can hear myself. Yeah, every time we talk, we let me turn mine off. But every time we talk, we go deep into it and we walk away with so many nuggets. And we was like, why are we not telling everybody about this stuff? So here we go with radical resilience because we've both been through so much in the corporate world and our personal lives. And my grandmother always said, you overcome by your testimony. And when you share your testimony
Mhm.
with other people, you helping them be overcome. And that's the purpose of this, to help others walk through that journey to newness. And once you find that newness, I believe as a person, you're supposed to share it with everybody. So this is the reason, this is the premise of the platform and why Angie and I are choosing to share our knowledge. And I forget what we said what topic was going to be today.
We didn't even say a topic because the stuff come up so organically. It's like, you know what, let's come together and let's just rap. But I tell you today, what tripped me out was we did talk about how people want certain things in life and how they need to heal, right? We were going in that direction. But today I had a guy come here to fix my furnace. It was acting up or what have you. And so he asked me, he says, well, I told him that, it stopped working after I had my party Saturday. I had turned the heat off and then all of a sudden it's not working. And he was like, oh, well, what you have a party about? And I said, well, I'll bring a bunch of women together. We create a sisterhood so that we can heal. He's like, oh, Lord. He was like, oh, what y'all be talking about? I'm like, no, dude, like seriously, we really provide an atmosphere so that women can open up and talk and start dealing with some of the stuff that, we hold in secret, because the next woman don't even know that the woman next to her is going through the same thing. So therefore we clam up. And in the Black community, you're not supposed to air your weaknesses because then somebody gonna play you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't let them play you. Whereas in other communities, they don't have a problem being transparent and vulnerable because the people around them, their support is going to show up and support them in need. But
and you know what?
In our community, we don't know to support somebody in their emotional need. What we try to tell them to shake it off and move on. And because we got that from generations before us, they had to shake everything off and move on.
Sweep everything under the rug. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. And you know what? While we're not talking about that, your sister dying, your brother dying, because they going through the same thing by themselves. Instead of walking together and pulling each other up, we hiding everything. And how you doing? I'm fine. The biggest lie.
Girl, I just told my young daughter a couple months ago, she's on the phone with me, challenged while she was at work. And and then while she's talking to me and she's walking, somebody said, oh, hey, how are you? And she was like, oh, I'm fine. I said, why'd you tell that lie? She was like, oh, because that woman is just so nice. I didn't really want to, say anything. And I was like, but it's not true. You're not fine right now.
Yeah. And once you learn to own your truth, that's okay. Because a lot of people say, I don't tell, like when I was younger, I used to think, I'm not going to tell you my problems, because then you're going to be like, oh, here she go complaining again. It's not a complaint. You ask me how I'm doing. I'm telling you how I'm feeling. Let's work it out. Give me a solution. Have you been through this? Especially when I was in the corporate world, I was so frustrated because I felt like I'm in a male-dominated field, and I know there were women before me. Somebody had to walk this path before. Can't nobody be struggling like I'm struggling in this corporation, feeling the way I'm feeling. I know there's other women in here who've been feeling this type of discrimination, know, but we don't talk about that.
Yep. And so to your point that you said earlier about the what if, I would say maybe about 10 years ago, I would not have felt safe to tell the next woman who looked like maybe, she got the car, she got the man, she got the amazing kids, you know what I mean? She got everything going on, and it doesn't look like she have a sad day in her life because her dude got her back, right?
Right.
I would not have brought my issues to her, even if she was the only one around to talk to, because I would think that she was not interested in how I'm suffering, where I'm suffering. Right. And then furthermore, if I did, she doesn't really have anything to offer me to say, well, because she can't relate. So,
and that's your perspective, because we look at people, they say all the time, don't judge a book by its cover. She could have been just as broken as you, but because she's perceived to be well put together, she got it going on.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest lie, especially in our community. Like, we don't share nothing. We don't. And we don't go to therapists for that reason, because if you go to a therapist, then you crazy.
So I got Pat. She said, when we were talking earlier about us going through things, and I thought my closet door was open, and we were going through things. She said, she totally agreed that we're not supposed to talk about it, that we're not sharing. Hey, Pat, thanks for joining us tonight.
I can't see her. Hi, Miss Pat. So yeah, like, and it is a crazy thing. Like, I had a conversation with my husband today, because he was like, remember you wanted to buy an XYZ car? And he said, why you don't want that car no more? And I said, because I really had to examine the reason why I want the car. I wanted to buy a status card because I said I want to buy status because I deserve it. And then I was like, but why do you feel like you entitled to that? What is it going to do for you? Is it to pat yourself on the back? Is it to look good for people? Or do you really want this car? Is it functional to you? What is going on here? Why do you want it? And when I realized my why, when I did a deep dive on my why, I was like, oh, that's just showing off. You don't really want that car. You just boasting.
Wait,
So
how did you dig in? Hey, Faustine, I see you over there on Facebook. She's on your thread now.
okay.
So, yeah, how did you figure that out, that you were boasting?
Because I did a deep dive on my why. One of my mentors said, if your why is not big enough, or if it don't make you cry, then it ain't real, right? It's not going to sustain you. And when I was in corporate, that's the couple they always ask, what's your why? What's your why? Why are you doing this? And when my kids was younger, I did everything for my kids. That was my why. I believe the reason why I struggled so hard, the reason why I stayed up late nights going through school and working these jobs, always in and out of the airport, traveling from site to site, is because my kids need to be better. Mm-hmm. And then I'm thinking to myself, all that time, that's what I was doing. Then my kids got grown, right? And I'm still doing it. So that can't be my why now. Why am I doing that? Mm-hmm. And I had to go deep into my why and say, but why? And keep asking it, but why, until I got to the bottom root of the reason why I'm working so hard. When my kids is grown, they got kids of their own. They're living their best life doing just as I taught them to do. And I'm still saying they my why. That's a lie.
So what was your new why?
My why was because I never want to be broken again.
Come on.
That's why I hustle so hard. It's because it's my own insecurities. I don't never want to be to the point in my life again when I needed to pick myself up, Mm-hmm. And so I do it out of fear, basically. My why is I'm working this hard because I don't want to hurt no more.
That's right. That's right. That pain was real.
That pain was real.
And there was nobody around to try to help soothe that pain. But let me say this to you too. And I know you realize that, but I just want to bring it to the surface, that when you say the reason why it's because of the fear of, you have now put a ceiling on how far you can go.
Right.
Because you've maxed yourself out.
Right.
So you have to look at that fear, right? And just say, okay, I know I can go as far as here. Mm-hmm. But if you don't put that fear down and go beyond those limits of the stuff that you can't understand, you can't control, then you'll always be in that thing doing it because you're afraid, instead of living full out on a whole nother level, you know what I mean? With ease, with soft energy, you know what I mean? Not having to figure stuff out all the time. And multiple streams of income will just be flying into your account with your name on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I realized that. That's the reason why my business is called Unlimited Opportunities. Because God is limitless. Yes. And if I keep limiting myself, that's where I'm gonna be. Just where my faith level is, that's where I'm gonna stop. That's where I'm stop growing.
That's right.
I gotta be unlimited. I'm unlimited, and relentless on it.
That's true. So when you think about, and I'm searching through my own stuff, which I'm gonna share, but when you think about, all right, so I remember asking God all the time, because I didn't have anyone to take me to the level of maturity that I wanted, and no one knew inside of me everything that was going on. I would ask God, I say, show me my next level of maturity, for whatever that meant, right? And of course, what I'm saying is bring more challenges to me.
Yeah.
So I can face what's going on inside of me. Right? Hey, Lisa, thanks for coming. She's on my Facebook as well. So that so I just had to keep going inward. And so when you said that you had to go inward and be real with yourself, that right there is the scariest thing, to really sit quietly and be honest with yourself about what's really getting at you. It could bring tears to your eyes.
It's supposed to, because that means you get into the root of your heart. That's you. You got to deal with you. We talked about that all the time. Basically, you have to reckon with yourself, and God has already given you everything. He's not going to leave you hanging, right? And I talked with my husband this morning about fear, right? Fear is there to challenge you, but the word, I don't want to get biblical on here, but everything I do, I talk about God. So for those who okay,
true to you, even if I was Islamic right now, you got to
get through to you.
Yeah.
And so I searched the scriptures and they tell me to fear not. God got me, and it's harder. It's easier said than done. But putting that trust in there, putting that trust in God to know not to fear, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's real deep like that. So when you realized though where you were moving and you started stepping out of faith and you said you did it alone, how did you trust what you felt in your heart was right? How did you know God was leading you in that direction?
Okay, so mine was at different times, but the one that's coming to me right now is I was just moving away from pain.
Okay.
So I knew what the pain felt like, and I knew to go in the opposite direction.
Okay, that's deep right there.
So whatever was bringing me the pain. So when I think about whatever habits that I was forming that brought me pain, like say for instance, the anxiety while dating, right? Or even like in a marriage, the anxiety that you would have about when that mate get off work, he gonna come in here, he gonna do X, Y, and Z. Oh my God, I'm not ready for it. Or yeah, my guy, when he gets off work, he ain't even gonna come straight home, and I'm longing to look for him. Whatever direction it went, right? Whatever that type of anxiety, me reaching that kind of anxiety in a relationship where I'm just dating, especially if I'm excited about a guy. And I remember early in my 30s is when it really hit me hard. And this is when I realized that I was suffering a lot. And I would just sit there and I'd be like, dang, I want to call him, but I want him to call me.
Right.
And I want him to call, and I would wrestle with this anxiety because I felt like if he doesn't call me, that meant somebody else had his attention. Like where I come from and what I understood about around my way, where we grew up,
Where we grew up.
everything was, oh, well, if he ain't calling you, he got somebody else. That was always the rule. And I don't know why they made that the rule because number one, men are not about phones that much anyway. And yes, they will call, but I mean, they don't know that they know you got off at 4, but they don't know at 4:10 that you want to hear from them. And at 4:10, they probably still at work or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? And we put timelines and pressure that men don't even know. We give them tests that they don't even know they're taking.
They don't even know they don't even know they're taking it first. And then their love language is different. Like yours is affection, and his probably was like, oh, I'm just gonna buy her some flowers or something like that. It could have been, and we didn't know nothing back then when we was young. We didn't talk about love languages. We just now figuring with that stuff out. So I imagine that could have been very difficult when you longing for his attention and he's just trying to provide.
Yep. So then guess what? I end up calling. So if he didn't answer at 6, I'm gonna call again at 7. He ain't answer at 7, I'm gonna call again at 8. A lot of women would not have done that, but me, because I was so egotistical about knowing that I'm all that and knowing that dudes sweat me, and I'm used to dudes sweating me. Well, if this one dude ain't sweating me, then what the heck is going on? And you need to be straight up with me. Now I've created something,
a whole argument.
A whole argument with myself in myself. He don't even know what the heck is going on. And then come to find out as years went on, what I learned is he's somewhere bragging about me. But I had no idea he was committed in that way. And I will always find out well after I was done with the relationship and walked away. It's those deep-seated abandonment issues that just haunted me. So in my early 30s, and I remember it started when I had moved back to Philadelphia for 1 year. And in my 30s, I was coming home from work, and I remember wanting to hear from the guy, but then I was like, I just can't keep living like this. It just made no sense to me. There was no fun in a relationship if you're doing this, if I'm doing this chase, and what I was chasing was my own anxiety. You know what I mean? So
wow, that's deep right there.
Anxiety talking trash to me nonstop about what's really happening out there. But it didn't come from stuff I made. It came from me watching other broken relationships and women who were not able to give me anything constructive. They just knew to give me how to survive, how to protect yourself from getting hurt. So therefore, protecting yourself from getting hurt, you're also protecting yourself from feeling love.
This is true. And you say that, right? And I hear a lot of young kids that I mentor, they was like, I'm not getting married. I see what y'all went through. I'm not doing that. I ain't got time for that. And again, I tell them, you looking at a relationship, but you don't know, you're not in that bedroom. You don't know how they fix their pain points. Like, yeah, they may be upset or arguing or rolling eyes at each other, but you don't know how they fix it. you know,
That's right.
in
Pat,
our household.
what do you mean our love language is real? Which part were you talking about? She said our love language is real. Go ahead. And
Yeah, and it is. It's because you don't know what it is. And in my house, we had a agreement. We're not going to go to bed angry. Like, so we can be mad as a mug all day long. But when we go to bed, we be either we're going to squash it or we're going to, table it to the next day. But we promised ourselves when we first got married that we're not going to bed angry,
Did
So
you, was it times that you guys didn't?
yeah, and then from those times, we just like, you know what? It's too much right now. We just going to table discussion and walk away. Like, and we'll take a moment and we'll just squash it. But there's been times when I be like ready to choke the jack out of him, and we just said, you know what? And we remember that commitment. Like right now, we going to a place where we said we don't want to be. We got to either this change the subject, walk away, or table this for another day until we both calm down. Because right now I'm about to say something you ain't gonna like, and I know it's gonna hurt your feelings.
Yep. Now, you guys, I want you to know this is actually my blood cousin. I'm sitting here looking at your face, and I'm like, that is my face. This is so funny. So, if I could dig just a little bit, because, like, I think one of the issues is not knowing how much detail people need to know on how to squash it, so to speak. You know what I mean? So we could turn around and say, oh, you need to get over it. What does that look like in my situation? What does that look like? You know what I mean? Well, give me something practical and tangible. Like when you, because, okay, I'm going to go back to when I was married and I was heated.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't no squashing that. There was no way I could mentally squash it and be good with that joker because he was clowning all the time and always smothering me and don't give me no room to breathe. And how do you squash it when this person is just like in your face, on your last nerve? Well, I guess.
And I know what you're saying because we got the same bloodline, and I go from 0 to 60. So
right.
I had to tell myself, is this worth going to jail for? Because you don't know how to turn it down.
There you go.
So then I had to know, you know what, this conversation could take me to a level somebody gonna have to give me bail money.
That's right. Okay, so Pat was saying the languages of what we need to feel love and support, like that love language thing is real, whether it be words of affirmation or spending time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pat, and listen, we gotta be honest with our mate about what that looks like for us. And a lot of times we're not honest because we think they're gonna look at us like we're childish. Well, we are.
Right.
We are childish when we're in our emotions. And that's the thing we gotta accept, the fact that okay, we're going to look childish during this season. You know what I mean? We're going to look petty when we're trying to get him to know us. But when a man could totally understand that that's what's going on, he can do something about it.
He can. And if he chooses to. And that's how you know the love is real. If he chooses to, if he say, you know what, we're not working right now, let's figure this out. Like, and we went to counseling, and then I started first. I was the one pushing counseling, and then he was like, I'm not going to counseling because they on your side, everybody on your side. I was like, okay, well you go, you pick one. So we tried it both ways, and both of us being PKs. His dad is a pastor. My parents were pastors. We ain't going to the church because everybody gonna say pray about it.
See that part. That's what I mean. You can't just tell me to just pray about it. You can't just tell me just to get over it. You can't tell me just squash it without telling me how that thing is going to break down. I was talking to the guy that came to fix the heater today, and he was asking me why was I fasting until evening? Why was I fasting? Mm-hmm. So I had explained to him about how the body works. When you eat anything that's a flour, mm-hmm. that goes down into your stomach, gets pasty, and it glues all your food together. Mm-hmm. And then if you turn around and get up in the morning and then you eat breakfast, now that's more on top of that, and then we get that belly bloat.
Yeah,
it keeps stacking, right? So then there was a guy years ago, a Rasta man. He said, in the morning, drink everything thin until you've moved your bowels. When you pass your bowels, then you go eat again, and keep it thin and liquid until you actually have moved your bowels. He said, otherwise you're going to get belly bloat. So the guy turned around and he said, now see, why anybody ever say that? He said, yeah, to understand what that looks like. Why? Just don't give me a rule. Oh, you need to eat fresh vegetables. You need to eat fruit. Why? It's vitamins in it. Yeah, but why? You know what I mean? Because if you don't, what's going to happen is when you eat that meat and you eat that carb, even if you eat the vegetables with it, because the meat and the carbs do not have any live enzymes in it, it can't break it down on its own. So the body turns around and say, hey, Listen, everything in you, we got to go ahead and break that stuff down. So the body starts working extra hard, trying to create the enzymes, and then all of a sudden we got niggeritis. But it's because our body is tired. It's working too hard.
Yeah.
But if you ate all things with enzymes, you won't get sleepy afterwards because the enzymes are in there doing what it needs to do, and the body doesn't need to work so hard. Y'all got that?
Good stuff. That's good stuff. Say
so,
hi to him.
So you can't just say, oh, pray about it. Why? What happens when I pray? Turn around and say, because what you do is you create a paradigm shift within now overrides your old mindset, and it helps you to tap into love, and then your spirit opens up. Like, break that thing down. And I'm just really just going off the cuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But break that down. Tell me why prayer works, tell me what's happened in the unseen realm when I'm praying. Well, what you're doing is confessing. Your words have life, and what you speak comes to pass. So therefore, what it is that you want. Let me tell you what happened when I prayed when I was married. I just shared this yesterday. I said, I was like, God, please help him with his drinking. And God said, who? And I said, right. He said, all right. And so I'm sitting here, God, please help him with this. Please help him with that. And God kept asking me, and I just kept saying his name. And then God stopped me and was like, see, I have to do this to you to get you to understand when you step to that altar, your spirit stepped into his spirit has stepped into yours. And I see you guys as one.
Right.
So when you come pray to me, you pray, help us with the alcoholism, help us with the whatever it was, you know what I mean? So say if a man is cheating, Lord, help us, because he's taking your body, your spirit with him into that bedroom with that next one. Help us with this cheating thing. You know what I'm saying? You're no longer one person. You can't point the finger at the mate.
Right. And I mean, yeah, you can't. And another thing is people don't know, like you said, don't know how to pray because it's all one-sided. And if it's your relationship, you got to pray for what you expect out of it, and own your part too. Own your part in the dysfunction.
Give me an example of that. That was so good. I want you to share an example with everybody what you want out of it.
So what I want out of it. Okay. So like I said, when I broke down my why, I had to figure out, why was I working so hard? And all this time I'm sitting there asking God, and not understanding why I'm asking for these particular things. What's it going to do for me? And who am I going to benefit if I get what God gives me? And it can even be, everybody think it got to be a deep prayer. I told you the other day that I used to say all the time, oh God, when we have aunts who had really pretty white hair. I used to say, oh, I want my hair to look just like that, guy. So I was like, when I get my gray hair, God, I want it to look like that. So it's a simple prayer, right? And then there's a minister out here in Philly called Millicent Helton. And she has the most gorgeous white hair I ever seen. And she was so anointed. And I loved how it flew. It was really long. So I used to say, oh, her hair is so gorgeous. And so for some reason, I was attracted to that wisdom of white hair. So I used to say, God, when you start giving me gray hair, I want mine to be beautiful, just like that. So then when I started getting gray hair, I was like, start plucking it and everything, pulling it out. And then I went to the salon one day to get it dyed, and she slayed my hair. It was nice. And I had like a golden brown color. The next morning, I woke up, a whole big patch of gray hair sitting right up in the front strand. I was like, see now, God, this is ridiculous. Why is my gray so relentless? And he said, you asked me for it.
See there?
So that's when I stopped dyeing it. So it's what it is. It is. I asked him for it, and he's giving it to me.
That's right.
That's just a simple example of a prayer, but I didn't even know I was praying. Your words carry weight. So when you go to God or when you say things to God, remember the whole earth was formed by his words. And he gives it to us. He gives us what we say, and whether it's good or bad, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. So you better be careful with what you ask for.
Girl, let me tell you, you know how annoying we are with our kids. We get a revelation, and then we end up coming down and talking to them about it, and then they're looking at us like, where the heck they going with this? You know what I mean? So my daughter, let me see if I can move this closer to where I'm facing Pat, because Pat's on my. Tick, 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 tick. So I came downstairs today, and I said, hey, Jonna, yes, that's right. When we pray specific prayers, watch out for your answer prayer.
Watch out. That's right, Lisa.
Right. So I came downstairs and I said, Jonna, I said, your brain Your brain is like soil. And she was like, what? I said, just think about soil. If you plant cucumber seed in the soil, what you going to get? She was like, cucumbers. And I'm like, right. And I said, whatever you put in your brain, that's what your brain going to multiply and send back out. You're going to get more of it. And I said, so if you turn around and you study architecture or you study science or gardening or whatever, now you're going to get more of that stuff. More of that is going to come in your path because that's what you've put it in. That's what you just put in. You're going to multiply that thing and you're going to start seeing all these different things about science, all these different things. Shucks, look at the algorithm, SEO. Okay. Every time you go shop somewhere, all of a sudden now all the shopping is
all of it.
Outfits are showing up and all that. So I was telling her that, and I was like, basically, so you got to think about it. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So whatever you're getting out in your life right now, you've put that in there somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I even have a thing that I always say, where I am today is where my mind put me. Where I'll be tomorrow is where my mind put me. You know,
that's deep right there. That's deep. But the word tells us think on these things. So think on what you want.
Yeah.
Think on what you want. So what was her response to that? Like, okay, Mom, what? So
it was just like one of those, like, where are we going with this? But those are just one of them winking moments from Mom that when you somewhere, that word gonna save you.
Yeah. And that's so powerful. And it's awesome. Like now we got grown kids, right? It's awesome when they have kids and you hear them spit out wisdom you taught them.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have any kids, but I can imagine.
My youngest said to me, because I told you before, I said to my kids all the time, you can choose what you want, but you can't choose the consequences. And I heard my youngest recite that to her son, and she was like, I live by that thing, Mom.
Yeah,
You always told me if I'm not big enough to do it, I'm not big enough to handle the consequences, I better think twice.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Oh shucks, what I was gonna tell you about dang, that just messed me up just now. That thing is so real. You cannot choose the consequences. Oh, because we were talking about how when you had got pregnant
yeah.
and you was mad.
I was
Like,
big man. I was mad at that because I was hurt. I was hurting me. First of all, I was still angry at God for not having my dreams come true what I thought I was, because back then I thought I was so anointed. I was God's gift to young people, and he's just gonna walk in, I'm a walk in his favor because I'm so talented. I just had this big old ego. And when my plan for my life was not going in that direction, I rebelled and I got real angry with God. And when I led myself into the path that I had, then I had the nerve to be mad again because now I'm messing up big time and it's your fault, God.
That's cracked me up.
I never took responsibility to the fact that I stepped out of line.
It's your
That I was walking in disobedience. I'm just automatically gonna blame God because you didn't give me what I asked for first. Not even that I asked for it. It's what I expected out of life because it's the natural. You graduate high school, you go to college. I just thought it was naturally what I was supposed to do, and God was going to make it there because of who I was and whose I was, and because I believed and trusted him. But I really didn't do the work that I needed to get myself there. Like I got all the scholarships and the acceptance. I just didn't tell my parents, and they didn't prepare, that was my desire. I never even communicated with my mom and dad that I wanted to go to college. I was trying to do it all on my own, whereas my friends, they had parents that were, and then, we grew up in the suburbs. So, the suburbs up here in our bougie neighborhood, that's what parents had money and they was sending their kids to college. My mom and dad was hustling. They was working, living paycheck to paycheck, and I didn't even give them a desire. They just immediately thought that I was going to go work because I was always working. I've been working since I was 14. I never even communicated that college was my desire.
But how about you? You were operating in an entitled spirit too.
I really was. I was entitled, but I'm also from the suburbs. So are these suburbanites? We believe we entitled to it. We believe it. And oh my God, this generation too of these kids, like my grandkids, they don't know what struggle. They don't know what anything is because they're entitled.
But Deb, your family though, was privileged in comparison to the rest of our family, though. Y'all was always privileged. Y'all had the house that never ran out of food. You know what I mean? So I can understand. I mean, even you believing that things should go a certain way because you didn't really have to pull that out of the mud. You didn't have to pull anything out of the mud until you all of a sudden start establishing your own family. But you still even had a platform, a strong platform to know that your family was supportive in whichever way you understood them to be supportive, right?
Yeah.
You had a platform in which to stand out of. So your feet didn't really touch a lot of mud.
It didn't, to the fact of others that, like, from, like I said, we was up here in the suburbs, but we had cousins, like you said, who was struggling, and to us that looked weird. Like when we go into Philly,
Hang on one
and
second for my garage. Keep talking, but I want
when we went to when we go into Philly, or when my kids went off to school, they used to say, "Why y'all talk so bougie?" And we used to get clowned before talking proper King's English, and so I didn't know that we was actually, moderate income, because compared to everybody else, they thought we was rich, and so I thought we was rich, and when I realized that, oh no, we're not, that entitlement spirit went away quick.
So me moving down to Georgia is really funny. When me moving down here, not having family around or whatever, and being self-employed, I had my daycare center, and then from daycare, I went ahead and started doing real estate. But because I had incorporated my license into my license is under a business name, and it always has been, therefore I never showed a whole lot of income. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? Let me sign up for food stamps. Let me sign up for Medicaid. Like I was getting all of that, right? And I remember Anya coming home one day and she was like 12, 13 years old. Mom, this girl at school was telling me that I was poor. And I was like, why did she say that? She said, because she said only poor people get free lunch. I was like, she said, Mom, are we poor? I said, well, baby, we ain't rich. I said, we not rich. I said, but and I explained to her, it's just a certain way that I operate in the way I do my paperwork that I'm able to get more than most people because I don't go to a job and clock in. And I said, so I'm able to operate differently and get money into a business instead of, and she was like, oh, but baby, she never went hungry, not one day. You know what I mean? Fridge ain't never been empty. So even she didn't get it from the mud, but it was a lot of times where it was challenging, where she couldn't get extra stuff.
Right.
You know, and
I had that. I got cousins who like, when she was in 12th grade, she was like, "Wait, we poor?" And me and my older cousins, we just bust out laughing, like, "Girl, yeah."
exactly.
She was like, "We are for real."
Now,
Because
I got Lisa and Faustine. Let me know if y'all grew up poor or did y'all think y'all was straight? And Pat, your mom only had 2 kids. So let me know if y'all felt a little privileged as well. That is so funny, because perspective is everything.
it is. It is. It definitely is. And so back to that prayer. So I got mad at God because I'm thinking, why am I not acting like, here I am thinking that I'm supposed to be there, and my life didn't go like those other kids who graduated with me, who had, they were getting cars when they graduated, and I looked at my graduation gift, and it was a card and a necklace. I'm like, wait, why I don't have no car like my friends?
Something ain't measuring up.
Something not measuring up.
So Faustine said that you absolutely grew up poor, Faustine? Is that what that is? Let me know.
But yeah, so perspective is how you deal with life, period. And even though, like I said,
so Faustine said my mom was cleaning houses and I got hand-me-downs. I forgot about hand-me-downs. Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Pat said, girl, oh yeah, I'm only knowing about the 2 youngest, her and her brother. Girl, my mom has 4 kids. We have food stamps and all, free lunch, etc. That's right. Wow.
Yeah. And see, I didn't do my, so my kids couldn't get all
government
that stuff.
Cheese. Did y'all do government cheese?
When growing up, heck yeah, those best sandwiches, them chips.
Girl, what I would do for some of that block of cheese on grilled cheese right about now.
Now I don't know what's in it now, but
you're right about that.
I don't know what's in it, but that stuff was the best. And like now, like my granddaughter today, she's like, mom, I need some fruit. I was like, I have apples and oranges and blueberries in the refrigerator. She was like, that's ghetto fruit. I need to go get me some mangoes and she got some kind of furry fruit with prickles all over, and it's so good. She said, I need a dragonfly. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what's wrong with the regular fruit? She said, I don't eat that. That's basic.
Oh my God. You did that.
And I'm talking about no. I was like, girl, if you don't go get an orange,
Right. And get out my face with
get
that.
out my face with that.
But
But
look,
guess what happened? I gave the money to her. Her mom told her mom to go get her what she asked for.
of course.
Of
Of
course.
course. But you did that. I mean, you've raised them to a higher vibration of where they can pick and choose, and they be aware that that's not all the fruit that it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I had no idea. I never even heard of this fruit that she was bringing home, and I was like, "What is that?" The dogs wouldn't. The dogs looked at her, cut it open, and they was like, "What she eat?" Like if they could talk, they was like, "What's wrong with that girl?"
It looks so weird, like honest to goodness.
Yeah, but she said you have to taste it. It's some kind of. It was so sweet. It's a white, like she cut it open as a brown shell. I forget what she called it, but it was so sweet and good. I said, "Oh, now you done turned me on to something new." I'm gonna put that in my smoothie in the morning.
It's all in the middle of it, right? Not the much.
Yeah,
Yeah, those seeds turn me off. I just can't see myself putting it in my mouth.
yeah. So she cut it open, but it was good. And the dragonflies. I don't like a lot of the stuff she likes, but that she won't eat. Like I said, we packed our lunches with grapes, orange, peaches, and pears. She don't pack her lunch with like that with that stuff.
Let me tell you something. We packed our lunch. You either had a banana, orange, or you ain't had no grapes. Banana, orange, or apple. The rest of the stuff was too expensive.
Yeah. So,
So,
but I'm going off on a tangent. But that's that entitlement spirit, and when you treat God like you entitled to things, and you actually are, because there's a lot of promises, but you got to be obedient to get those promises. And when you walk out of alignment, you start to struggle.
girl, oh my gosh, when you walk out of alignment, you start to struggle. My God.
You ever see a car going when their alignment off? That joint
Girl,
wobbly.
that's a word right
That
there,
joint
y'all.
is wobbly when
That's
your
not a
car out of
word, Pat.
alignment
Jeez.
and you riding down the street like this.
Wow. So recently Pat just bought a house.
Mm-hmm.
Things went so smooth. You know, it went so smooth in comparison to all the other times. That was deep, right? All the other times when we had to finagle this or go this way or go that way or whatever, because she had to bring two incomes together, two situations together. She was just getting married, and as newlyweds, everything ain't in alignment.
Mm.
But now, as an individual, like she's happily empowered, single.
I know
And
that. You better go ahead.
everything went so smooth. And I was like, Pat, this is even like she didn't even have a whole bunch of questions like all the other times, you know what I mean? Like, the seasoning, the maturity, the peace, everything was just smooth. And she was just like taking it all in stride because things were in alignment. She didn't have any anxiety,
You
but
know what?
was
That's
challenging.
deep though. And I had someone else, another person, tell me that this time when they bought the house and got the keys on their own, it was so easy, and it was a big pat on the back because they did that. Before they were doing it as a couple, and now they did that same strength by myself. And being afraid to walk away from a marriage. Some of us stay in marriages because we afraid to be alone, and then to take that step and do life again, win again by yourself. Big ups to you.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
real.
that's empowerment right there.
Pat, that's why I was always so excited about where you were. And I'm just like, wow. And so whatever you needed from me, I was like showing up like, what you need? And then she didn't need nothing. I'm like, Pat, you sure? Like, you good? I was constantly like hitting her up.
And we also need to tell women that story too, because a lot of us are afraid to start again. But what happens to those women? And I hear that because I see this young lady that goes to chemo with my husband, and after her husband died, she never married again. And now her kids are, they're in different states, and she's battling this disease by herself, relying on friends and neighbors to bring her to treatment. And she was scared, but she said, you know what? I still believe God got me.
That's good.
And guess what? This come Friday, she ringing that bell, and I was like, I will be here right with you to
That's
ring
so
the bell.
sweet. Good. You should wear the pink jacket you got on.
Yep.
So I'll wear it out tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm always wearing pink because that's like my grandmother passed away from breast cancer. Well, not from breast cancer. She actually passed away from Alzheimer's, but dementia. But she's a lot of people on my dad's side of the family suffer with breast cancer. So that's been my cause forever. Like I walk every year. And for my birthday, I do something to give back to either Alzheimer's, lupus, or breast cancer, or wounded warriors, because so many of our soldiers come back, men or women, they come back damaged and mentally challenged and stuff like that. So those are some of the causes that I speak to and that I walk for and that I support, because it's just pulled at my heart.
That's so good. So Pat said, as far as the house goes, she's in the marriage. She said, absolutely, I did it. I had to get out, but God opens doors, and He's continued to open those doors for me.
Yeah.
Things are really good. And listen, and so how about this is what I'm really excited about, that she didn't rush to unpack that house. She's just good with just making sure everything is orderly and neat. The boxes are in the rooms they need to be in, but she's like, I'm good. That's a whole nother level of peace.
Yeah, that is, and that's just another level of faith too. Because now you stepping out knowing that no matter what's going on, God, He got me. So I ain't got to rush to have it look nice for so and so and do this and all that. Because guess what? It's about my peace and how I'm going to walk into this day in victory.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Oh, that victory is good. Go, Pat. You got victory, girl. So, I was going to tell you. So, the guy I told you came earlier to fix my HVAC. He's actually down in my garage now fixing the HVAC system. And so, it was so funny. She said, "My piece in the show, my piece in the show. Who you're absolutely right. One of the words are off, but will show who you're." Pat, I ain't get that. I'm sorry, boo. So he was like when I told him about the women getting together and stuff like that, and I was like, I help women see relationships different, our black men different. And I said the things that we're challenged by. He named something, and I said no, like systemic racism and sexism, and then also the societal pressures of having to always be everything to everybody at all times.
That one.
I was like that stuff. So then he started talking about it. So he went off on a tangent. I turned my phone on and I was recording him, but not facing him, but I was recording him to get the audio part of it. So I'm excited about to do a post about a TikTok about that. But he was basically saying how his mother, this guy's mother, was having a party one day, and that was the day that his chick had put him out, and he was going home with his bags and his head hung low, and his mom was like, "Oh, just come on up in here," and it happened to be some young lady there. She introduced her son to him, and the young lady had great conversations, kind of hit it off, so they started seeing each other, and it didn't scare her or bother her that he was down on his luck. So she turned around and she helped him out. He ended up getting behind on the child support. She helped him through that. And I don't know what help looked like, but he said, she was very supportive of all of his challenges. So he got back up on his feet. It was a couple other things he was named. I can't even remember it all. But so he went and was rapping to this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, man, she's a good chick, da 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 da." And he was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "What are you waiting on? Somebody else gonna come get her. You need to go ahead and put a ring on that, because what else does she need to prove to you?" So his point was, today's women don't understand all the battles that men face and why they can't pull it together.
Oh, wow.
And don't understand that, the men get down on their luck just like women do. But if women who have been successful, he said, women that are retiring now, they're like, "Listen, I got my house, I got my thing. I don't need nothing except for somebody to have a great time with." He said, only if they would have understood that early on in life, if somebody was letting them know, The money is not it. As long as you got somebody that will get up, that ain't lazy, and they're holding their own, y'all
Yeah.
work together, because one day you're going to have it all, but not the mate. And then you're going to realize the love is what you're missing the whole
The
time.
love is what you're missing. That's deep. That's deep. And you know what? A lot of times when you men hear women are getting together to help each other, the first thing that comes to their mind, oh, y'all man bashes. Like that's all we talk about. No, but we got other issues.
Yeah.
Y'all just happen to be in there, but y'all ain't our main focus.
You know what's so funny? So when we met this weekend, Pat and Faustine, they were all at my house. Lisa, they were there. We had about 15, 16 women at my house. Not one time did we talk about men. It never came up.
Came up because you know what?
Faustine, help me out. Did it ever come up? I don't think we ever even talked about men.
And they immediately think that's what we doing. No, like that's all. No, that might be, and that's not what we talk about. We talk about growth and prosperity.
Yes,
Because that's what our focus is. We growing, we helping others grow, and especially in our community now, because we never did that before. It's just me, my four, no more. Now we all trying to win.
That's right. And you know, it's so interesting. So a girlfriend of mine that she had cancer years ago, and so now she's home on on disability and things like that. She was here Saturday as well. She's from Philly. And as another one of the women kind of explained that she's like, listen, I don't have a whole bunch of goals or big dreams and things like that. And it made her feel small. And then she kind of shut down, and it brought tears to her. Well, her testimony actually helped out my girl who was home with cancer, because all she do all day long, me and her just chit chat throughout the day when I can, but she just watching TV, cooking, chilling, relaxing, or whatever. Never thought to like start life over again. You know what I mean? Because what I'm gonna do? Because I got this illness, I got to be careful. I got to da 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 da. How about when she returned home to Philly? That girl been on fire ever since the women's group. But that's what it's like when you bring a bunch of women together.
We empower each other.
Yes, and exponentially, you skip over a couple steps. You move ahead of the class when you turn around and you get the leverage of other people and their power and their experiences and their vulnerability.
It's so impact. Like up here in Philly, we do this thing called we call it sisters inspiring others, sisters, right? And it started out with a group of 4 women. They went away for a girls' trip. That sometimes it turned into from 4 women to like 400 women, and we go away on a retreat to the mountains, and we do crazy things, like we have a pajama party. Then the next day we do crazy things like horseback ride and just have fun, and then we talk about each other, and we open up, like of all religions. Like we have Muslim women come out of their garb, and they be vulnerable. We even had women who accidentally, their husband's side chick was friends with somebody there, and they talked it out. Like it get deep like that when women come to each other and pour into each other. It's game changing. But when we stay and battle these things by ourselves,
it gets nowhere.
Nowhere.
So Pat said, not once. We didn't talk about men, not once. We were focused on healing and goals and empowerment. Yes. Yep. Pat, what was one of your takeaways? Faustine, what was one of your takeaways? So the interesting thing is, when I had so about 10 years ago or so, when I took a look at our community and started seeing how the young folks was disrespecting the elderly, which I could never thought I would ever see that.
Never.
What I realized is because the mothers, whatever that age group is, are not teaching the kids values and morals. Everybody's so entitled to everything, you know what I mean? And it just shifted. And but that also tell me our generation failed the generation under us to try to raise those kids up right, for whatever that means. So whatever demons we don't face and we don't fight and we don't come back. Yes. It's a legacy. We pass that down from generation to generation. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. So we constantly just checking yourself out, looking at yourself, trying to see what else. And it ain't easy to have that battle of you versus you. It ain't easy. But if you think about all the demons that you had on you, and if you don't fight them, now you're gonna leave them for your daughter to fight.
Yeah.
Because she's watching what you do. She's listening, she's watching more of what you do than what you say. Just like men hear what you do, they don't hear what you say. So it's always about action. So if she see you fighting for yourself, getting up, exercising, things like that, that's going to become her future because
Yep.
you already patterned, what that thing looked like. Faustine says, my takeaway was that I have to be me and trust myself not to give up. Yes, girl. Yes. So Pat's takeaway was the vision board. If you can see in your mind what you want and focus on, it will come true. So what's in your heart, put it on a vision board. And I believe that. That's good.
I do. I believe that too. And because you know what, and again, that's biblical. Write it down and make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
Make it plain.
Absolutely.
And make it plain is the part that you need to stay on. Be specific
You
of
got
what you want.
to
So
get passionate like that. I'm like, tell us what happened. Give us a story.
make it plain. That's it. But
I'm gonna tell you how specific it was for me that I was married with an infant and I had put on a vision board the small plane. And then I also saw on like House Hunters or something or that I can't remember what show, but a man had a hangar attached to his house and he landed his small plane in the subdivision and then taxied around into his own garage. So I put that small plane up there. I didn't know what the plane was or whatever. Come to find out, that plane is actually a diamond, which is what my daughter flew when she was 15 years old when she did her first solo by herself.
what?
But what ended up happening, here I am with this infant, married. Within a year or 2 years later, I end up not in the marriage, separated, but met a man with his own small plane. And here's the part I didn't tell the ladies on Saturday because I forgot. The crazy thing is, I met him on a Tuesday. On that Wednesday, he was closing on some land. And he asked me, as we started dating later, he asked me to find the floor plan because he needs a hangar for his plane. That's
Wow.
yes. Yes.
Wow.
And it wasn't until later I was like, dang it, I forgot to tell him about that. He was building the house with the freaking hangar. That's what a vision board will do for you. It'll help you have violent faith.
Violent faith. Oh, I like that. Violent faith.
Mhm.
Violent faith. But then again, things happen for folks, and you don't even realize that that's your prayer being answered.
That's right.
You know, you walk into people and you don't even realize that that's your prayer. And I say that too because I always used to say when I was younger, I'm gonna be my own boss. And every single job, I said I'm going to be sit at the table with these owners. Every single job that I've ever owned or went into corporately, I was always invited in to meet the CEO. And
Mhm.
CEO's brain. When they're asking, how corporate get in their head, they got to talk to the people. And they
Yes.
always bring a group of people in there to talk to. For
Yeah.
some reason, my name was always pulled up to the table. And I'm going to ask the 1,000,002 questions. You
Good.
can't shut me up. You get me in there, I'm asking what I need to ask. And I'm
That's
still to
good.
this day asking questions like that. Even though I own my own company and semi-retired, I still get pulled into those type of rooms when they're trying to pick somebody's brain.
So guess what I see on all platforms? I'm looking at it. Violent faith, violent faith. I know that's right. I'm
Yep.
violent with my stuff, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
Because this is my thing. If I see it happen for somebody else, what am I missing that I need to get me to that finish line? Because if it happened, it can happen for me too.
Yeah.
But now I'm at the point where I'm creating stuff that it wasn't even seen before. Like you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm
And
just
guess
doing
what? That's still I'm not trying to be biblical, but that's still biblical because it's a
yeah.
promise.
All of it is biblical. Oh, I told my daughter the other day, Anya, the oldest one, I told her, I texted her when I woke up one morning, and I was like, hey, I want your thoughts to run wild. Just have wild, wild thoughts. Because she's so talented. And at her company at Delta, they have positions where she can turn around and be on the administrative side, the corporate side.
Mm-hmm.
But the positions that are already there, they're not big enough for her because her
Yeah.
spirit is huge. So that's why I told her, have wild thoughts. They're going to create a position to be able to house her. You know
It
what I
happened
mean?
for me. My job was created.
Yep, girl,
It
we
for
got
me, and not only was I doing it for my little Pennsylvania, I was doing it for 5 states remotely. My
oh
job was
wow.
created for me, and it's all because I had the gift of volunteering.
The
I'm
gift
always
of volunteering.
I call it a gift, but I'm
Yep, it is.
addicted. I'm addicted to volunteer, and they saw that, and so they was like, I want that to be the face of the community. So whenever there was a project, that's what they created that job just for me because I was volunteering. I didn't even know that. I just like helping people.
See there. Stay. Look, your gifts will make room for you.
It will. It will.
Girl, we got 1 minute left. So how can people find you?
So I'm on social media as Debra Ann Henderson, and then on YouTube I'm like the Business Buddy. LinkedIn, I'm still Debra Ann Henderson, or Unlimited Opportunities Promotional and Marketing Solution.
And Debra is Debra.
Yes, thanks for asking.
Sometimes we can know what to do, but lack the faith, courage, or zeal to do it. That's why it's good to be around people who will engage you. Yes, indeed.
Exactly. And don't let nobody steal that either. Don't let nobody steal your dreams. Like, you can't tell it to everybody.
They're yours. You ain't gonna let nobody steal your car. Don't let nobody steal your dreams. So for me, I can be found at AngieKearns.com, KEARNS.com. And when you go in there, join my community. It's the Prosperity of Queens community. And this is where we have this type of sisterhood and we come together. So make sure everybody go join, click that button. I got books on there, everything, you guys. Just check out my website.
Yes. And I also have books. If you guys are going through or your children are going through things. A lot of times I speak to children and mothers and parents with children or children with young kids. So I have a couple of books out there as well. One is called He's Not Lost, but I teach kids or parents how to talk to their children about death. And the other one is 4 Good Days, where we teach children how to be resilient, and how to walk through their journey of life, to count the good days with the bad days so that you can be resilient in your illnesses or whatever you face in life. So
that's real good. And it's all for the kids.
It's all for the kids.
This thing was going to cut us off at right one time, but I guess you got control over that.
No, I have control over that, but I do want to thank you all. Come join us next week. Same time, same place. We who knows what we're going to be talking about, but it'll be good. And you'll be
Absolutely. It's going to be good. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for joining us. You have a prosperous night and day on purpose.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye. I'm in